There is a new shocking developments every day about the war that started at Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Ukraine's determined resistance is appreciated by the international community. As Ukraine continues its successful resistance, things are getting worse for Russia. It is possible to say that the Russian army has psychologically lost the war in Ukraine. The lack of discipline in the Russian army is causing the army to experience a new shock every day. The Russian army experienced another shock before recovering from the shock on the Crimean Bridge. In a video shared on social media, it was seen that the vehicle belonging to the Russian military convoy was ambushed. Many claims were made about the video, which was watched thousands of times in a short time. As a result of research on the shared video, incredible details emerged. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the details of the news. A group of Chechen fighters ambushed a transport vehicle belonging to the Russian army. Russian personnel in the ambushed vehicle were neutralized. The Russian transport vehicle was destroyed. The incident took place near the village of Sereda, 26 kilometers from Shebekino. According to the information from local sources, a group of Chechen fighters fighting on behalf of the Ukraine against Russia had been in the region for some time. Chechen fighters who were planning the operation in the region surrounded the vehicle with a fire as it passed by. The Russian transport vehicle was forced to stop in a short time. It was understood that the personnel in the vehicle were neutralized during the first volley. It is known that was inside the Russian transport vehicle. Local sources who shared information on the subject stated that there was an important ammunition in the vehicle. No statement was made by the Russian authorities on the incident, and the Kremlin continues to maintain its silence. In recent days, the logistic networks of the Russian army have been severely damaged. This attack, which took place within Russian borders, brings other questions to mind. Even on Russian territory, the Russian army has been the target of the attacks. This situation shows that there is an international turmoil in Russia. As you may remember, the Free Russian Legion and the Russian Volunteer Corps had previously launched a cross-border operation in the Belgorod region of Russia and gave Russia a heavy shock during this operation. The group even made statements recently, signaling that a new offensive would begin in the coming days. According to some experts, this operation is a harbinger of new cross-border operations to be launched by Free Russian Legion. The Kremlin is having difficulty maintaining order on the territory of the Russian Federation. Both at the front and at home, Moscow is facing major problems. Moscow, on the other hand, prefers to turn its back on the problem and ignore them. According to information obtained from Russian sources, soldiers in the Russian army are suffering from psychological problems. The strong image that the Russian army is trying to portray has been destroyed. The dissolution in the Russian army following the invasion of Ukraine strengthened the possibility that the war will end in favor of Ukraine. Aware of this fact, the Moscow administration is trying to turn the situation in favor of Russia by making political moves. Support for Ukraine from Western countries is increasing day by day. Most recently, the Swedish government has approved a new €450 million financial aid package for Ukraine. These funds will help build Ukrainian infrastructure and institutions such as healthcare. It also aims to increase Ukraine's access to green energy and transition to greener technologies, as well as strengthen security and human rights protections. U.S. State Administrator Samantha Power issued a statement on the support to Ukraine. According to the statements, the U.S. government has approved the decision to provide more than $500 million in additional humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. In her statement, Samantha Power did not neglect to criticize Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation. She said that by withdrawing from the Black Sea Grain Agreement, Russia was risking the safety of the most vulnerable people on the planet. Ukrainian defense continues its successful resistance for the future of the country. The Ukrainian Air Force, which has destroyed several Russian drones in recent days, continued the success. The Ukrainian Army, which has carried out a successful defense operation against Russian unmanned aerial vehicles, has established control in the airspace. The statement made by the Ukrainian Air Force is enough to show Ukraine's success. 31 of 36 Iranian-made unmanned aerial vehicles used by Russia in the attack were destroyed by the Ukrainian Air Force. In the same attack, all 6 cruise missiles sent by Russia were destroyed by the Ukrainian defense. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin made statements on the war in Ukraine. In the statement made by the minister, it was stated that the defense of Ukraine will be strengthened. He announced that the Ukrainian Defense Contact Group discussed Ukraine's urgent needs for ammunition. According to the decision taken at the meeting, the US and its allies will increase the production of ammunition for Ukraine. Another of most important developments in Russia was reported as the security concern that started after the Crimean Bridge was hit. According to information from local sources, Russian tour companies are begging visitors not to cancel their vacation in Crimea. The Crimean Peninsula has become a popular vacation destination for Russians after its occupation by Russia. However, after the attack on Crimean Bridge, the island remained almost empty. It was stated that the Moscow administration, realizing this situation, gave instruction to tourism companies. The offensive operations launched by Russia in retaliation for the Crimean attack ended in the fiasco. The Russian army, which attacked the southern region of Ukraine, had to retreat with heavy losses. The Ukrainian army is increasing its pressure on the Crimea day by day. In addition to the war, different developments are taking place on the Ukrainian front. The Ukrainian government announced that it has approved a plan for the reconstruction of Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant, which was destroyed in June. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said at a meeting with the cabinet of ministers that the restoration of irrigation systems in the southern Ukraine is important for the country's agriculture, and the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant will continue to play a key role. The project will take 2 years, Shmyhal said, adding to the engineering structure will be designed in the first phase. After the engineering structures are designed, the foundation for the restoration will be prepared. The second phase will start with the liberation of the areas where the hydroelectric power plant is located, and the construction will be completed. Ukraine is fighting on the front line and at the same time struggling to ensure prosperity for all the people of the country. How do you assess the attack by Chechen fighters on the Russian military transport? And what do you think will be the situation of the Russian army on the front line? How do you interpret Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea grain agreement? What will be the function of new support package from Western countries to Ukraine? How do you interpret the failure of Russia's retaliatory offensive operation in Crimea? We value your views. Please share them with us.